Thank you, guys. I am going to sit down so I can breathe. Having my Jordan Game 6 moment. That's why I wore these shoes today. So, right? Exactly. Let's get started. I know this is the last session of the day, and you guys are probably about over this whole experience, but I promise to make this as interesting as possible. Okay, so who am I? Those fairly large humans on the right-hand side, I birthed those people. So I am a mom. I have 3 teenage boys. They are actually at a football jamboree today, text me every 5 minutes. I spend all my time with them, so I have this sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy. Can't help it. I own a nonprofit called Soul Dope. We build computer labs in Oakland and also in Ghana, so that's a big deal. And New Relic, I'm also repping them somewhere. That's who I work for right now. It's a really great company. If you guys want to know more about it, plug. Ask me after, but who am I for real? So I've did almost every sales role. I was an SDR, an account executive, a sales engineer. I managed a sales team, and then I got into operations. So I did sales operations as a PM, and then when you're a PM, you get to make these plans, but no one lets you press the buttons. So I was like, I want to press the buttons. So I became just like an operations person, and I did that for a while at Cisco. I got a call from my friends at Ring Central, and they were like, do you still get shit done? Their exact words. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I do. So I ran their sales operations team for a really long time. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so short. Hold on.
For those of you just joining, Myas here. This is her flu game.
This is my flu game.
She's Game 6 Michael Jordan or Maya James, both MJs.
Right.
So forgive her for sitting down, but she's rocking it.
I'm trying. So I did sales operations with some marketing operations for Ring Central for a while. I got hired at New Relic about a year ago, and they wanted me to organize their CSAE, which is like BDR and SDR organizations, to make sure that they were doing things the same way at the same time. And then somehow they convinced me to head their marketing operations team. So that's what I'm doing right now. So Rev Ops, a lot of times it's blending together sales operations and marketing operations, and that's what I've been doing for 20 years or so. So I have a little bit of experience. So I'm going to take an experience I had at my current job and tell you what we did to help blend together our SDR messaging with our marketing messaging to increase our productivity and decrease redundancy. But in order to do that, I want to tell you what our go-to-market strategy is for our SDR and BDRs. So we have 3 things that we're working on as a company. We want to grow, so land strategic customers who are being very specific about the customers we're going after. Expand, so increase the footprint in our top accounts, and then also reduce churn. So this shouldn't be like a new go-to-market play for a lot of you guys. This should be pretty standard. Most companies are looking to do these 3 things. And how our SDR and BDR org, we call it CSAE, but BDR org does this, is we try to create incremental pipeline in high value accounts. So our greenfield accounts are accounts that we don't currently have any relationship with. And then for our BDRs, they're really looking to grow demand in our install base accounts. So accounts that we already have a relationship with, but might have a lot of subsidiaries that we don't. And this is what they're doing day to day. So they're prospecting, they're appointment setting, and then they are also creating white space account plans. So a lot of this requires them to send a lot of messaging. A lot of emails are going out. And when we try to figure out how many emails were going out to our customer base, this is what we found out. We had 700K emails being sent per week by 4 different teams. 200 people had the ability to send emails, and 4 tools were sending these emails. So as you can imagine, this was a lot. There was people would get an email, and then you would have an executive, my friend said they got 5 emails from us today. How did this happen? And this is how we found out how that happened. There was no governance. Everyone was targeting the same people at the same time. So what we did, so the first thing we did was, oh, that should say strategy, so sorry. We had to organize our company's messaging strategy. I talked about this in a previous talk. If you guys want the slide deck, I'll upload it. This seems easy, but it took us a long time to go through these steps. We wanted to understand what the current state was, and then we documented our findings. So the reason that I know that we were sending 700K emails per week was because we talked to all the people, we wrote all the things down by persona, we did all of the heavy lifting. And then once we knew what was going out, we created a planning calendar, and then we talked to marketing and we talked to sales, we came up with the understanding who's gonna send what, when, and to whom, and then we measured and enforced our plan that we did in step 4. Seems really easy. I have a longer presentation that goes through this, but let's say you got through this and everything is great. What do you do next? Like, how do you really partner with marketing? What does your SDR organization have to do? So this is my new 5-step plan. So first is have a joint understanding of the goal, and we're going to talk about each of these in a slide. Step 2 is to rally behind a single program and target list. So we want to make sure that we're very specific about the people we are targeting. Step 3, create messaging. And yes, together. That means your SDR leadership team and your sales team and your marketing team need to come together to come up with messaging. That is probably the toughest step because lots of people have lots of opinions. Yeah?
In your experience, has it been that marketing and sales professionals have different philosophies, or that companies impose different realities and expectations that,
Both. So like and we'll talk a little bit more about this in step 3, but there is this whole notion that marketing doesn't know how to send personalized communication to my salespeople, and then marketing's like, sales doesn't know how to give a great call to action, and they're not looking at like open rates, so there's like this clash that's happening a lot of the time, and then depending on how the org is structured, it's just not structured in a way that's going to produce that type of synergy. And then you want to build out your cadence, and you can have cadences that include your marketing and your sales team, which is not something that not a lot of companies are doing. And then you want to launch, measure, and iterate. Iterate is going to be really important because this is never done. Sales and how you sell is going to change. You're going to find what worked in one campaign might not work in the other. So this is something that's going to be always on. Yes. Yeah.
Are you saying from the messaging and the cadence that's all in a single cadence, or are you talking about building it out and each area being responsible for a particular touch that happens in a sequence?
It's each department being responsible for a particular touch and a cadence, and I will show you an example of what that looks like. All right, so step 1, what do I mean when I say a joint understanding of the goal? Marketing and sales are really dependent on each other for success. And sometimes just calling that out makes a really big difference. So getting into a room and saying, okay, what is the goal? And if the goal is to generate $1 million of pipeline in our target accounts, let's just at the very base level say what our goal is. This doesn't happen all the time, and a lot of times we forget that we're on the same team and we are working literally towards the same KPIs and metrics. When marketing is creating leads, if the SDR organization is not converting those MQLs to SALs and SALs all the way through the funnel, then marketing is not going to make their pipeline goals. If marketing is not sending quality leads to the SDRs that aren't producing opportunities, and the SDRs are not going to make their goal. So like really, let's be very clear about what our goals are. Once you create a goal, you want to rally behind a single program. I've tried this a couple of ways. We tried to create multiple programs, or we were in try to create cadences for multiple programs at a time with marketing and sales together. And we found it to be really, really difficult. So it works better when you're really thoughtful and you choose a single program in line with whatever your go-to-market strategy is. And then we don't want to boil the ocean. Pick one program and be very specific about who you're going to target. That's going to help with messaging. So if you are, that's an example. Let's say you're in the Magic Quadrant and you want to do a program about it. Who do we want to target? If you have a specific industry, a specific customer size, a specific persona you're going to target, be very specific about who those people are, so that way you can build your messaging around it. And then also consider technology. Once you understand who your target people are going to be, it is very possible that marketing is using a different technology to send communication than your SDR org is. So you want to make sure that you have the ability to segregate those lists in your prospective tools and do that ahead of time.
Maya,
Yeah.
is there a specific, like a marketing, sales, and sales development, does one team own the target list?
So as a company, we know what that target list is, but then how we segregate that list differs depending on what department we're in. So at my company, marketing exclusively uses Marketo. That's where they send their marketing sends. Our SDR organization, we use SalesLoft, and there's not a great integration. There's not a great integration between those two. So like we would create a suppression list in Marketo to segregate that list from getting any other marketing emails in that particular time. And then we'd create the same list in SalesLoft, so that way we know for sure we're targeting the same people at the same time. Other companies might have a more sophisticated way of being able to track an SDR email and a marketing email, but that's the easiest way we were able to do it at my company. Right, and then create messaging, and that's going to include the initial email template that your marketing team is going to send out. That is going to be the more high-touch emails that the SDRs are sending. You want to, or even hard copy mailers. We do this in a messaging workshop where we have SDR managers, our marketing team in a room looking at old templates and new templates, crafting something that we think is going to work for this particular campaign. This is where you're going to find there are lots of opinions about what should go in the first email versus what should go in the following email, who should send the first email versus the second email. You want to understand what this is going to look like before you get to building out your cadence. And you want to make sure that everyone's on board, which means this might take more than a single meeting to work all of this out. Common things that we heard was, this email sounds too salesy. This doesn't have enough personalization. This is not directed towards the persona enough. But once you have these conversations, people then begin to speak the same language. And then you see SDRs and SDR managers creating messaging that looks a little bit more like the messaging that marketing creates. And then vice versa. Marketing now has this sense of what type of email templates SDRs are looking for. And they're able to create messaging that's more in line with the voice that an SDR typically uses. So that exercise is really good for this, but then also in general, having both teams learn from each other creates better messaging as a whole. Have a clear call to action. So what is the goal for this particular cadence? Do we want them to call? Do we want them to schedule a meeting? Do we want them to come to a particular event? The call to action should be very clear and aligned to the overall goal. And then all of your SDR talk tracks, persona cheat sheets, objection handling, all should be created in this workshop as well. A lot of companies, when they generate a lead, they give some notes for the SDRs to use. This person downloaded a white paper about security, but then that's where it stops. When you are thinking about this proactively, you can give whole talk tracks that are in line with that particular program. And if that program is targeting a particular industry, for an example, you can get very specific about what those SDRs should be talking about, what's going to be the hot points that particular prospect might be really interested in that might be different than like your regular go-to-market strategy. You can really arm your SDRs with information that they normally wouldn't have. So all of that can be built at the same time. Any questions about this? Oh, we have a lot of toys. We have we used to use Outreach, now we have SalesLoft, we have Discover.org, we have Clearbit, we have Marketo, we have Salesforce, we have what's Engagio, we have LinkedIn, we have all the toys one would use. Yeah. Yeah.
So just to clarify for you guys, marketing with the help of sales, they're creating marketing templates that are going to be used, and then are you also creating sales templates that the SDRs are going to use, so it's all kind of swirling in the same
Absolutely. Because what we found is, especially when we were sending those 700 emails a week, was that everyone was getting messaging that didn't go with each other, and it was making us look bad as a company. So when we do it this way, everyone is pushing the same narrative at the same time. So while the sales emails, the ones that we create for the SDRs, look different than the ones that are being sent by the marketing team, it's all about the same thing, which makes it very cohesive. And then we can tailor talk tracks around it. So not only is it an email, when an SDR gets someone on the phone, they are also speaking to a particular message that person got a few days earlier.
Yeah. I have an interesting question. So a primary and maybe an elementary attack to sales development is someone engages with you, put them through a 15-touch sequence or cadence or flow, and then send them some white papers. Mm-hmm. And a common mistake I've seen in sales development orgs make is they downloaded a white paper and then you send them your 5th email, which is the same white paper they already downloaded in the first place. And obviously you're not doing that, but how can you get a little more granular about how you, like, let's say someone engages with this marketing content in this way, does that change what cadence and what messaging, and how does the SDR know?
It should. We're not there yet. Okay. So I could show you basically what we're doing. So let's say like we have this new ABM strategy, and in this ABM strategy, we want to send out a hard copy mailer with some socks in it, right? So we're gonna give you these socks to entice you to come to our booth at an upcoming trade show. And that happens on September 1. We're going to use the mail to send it, and then we have a link to whatever that particular copy is, so our SDRs know exactly what was sent in writing to this particular prospect. 2 days later, there's going to be an email follow-up, and this email follow-up will be not as generic as the hard copy mailer, but it's in line with like, hey, there is a hard copy mailer that we sent out to you. Did you get it? But it's coming from the SDR, and the SDR can customize this based on what he knows about this particular account, because if it's a BDR, he's going to have a closer relationship. And that's done, in this case, marketing is doing that. And then there's a phone call by an SDR.
When marketing's following up, is that from a marketing alias or like ghosting it into the SDR?
No, when marketing, it's just from New Relic. When if it's an SDR, it's from the SDR. We make it pretty clear about who's sending it. So in this case, it would be like marketing, and then a phone call by an SDR, and then like a high-touch email. Like, hey, guy, saw your stock. It's doing really great. By the way, did you get those socks? Please come to our booth today. And that's, what will happen. And normally it's more than 4 touches. We try to do a minimum of 10. Some of those touches could be LinkedIn touches, so social. Some of those might be just a voicemail. Some of them might be a phone call with no voicemail. We tend to be very particular about what that looks like. We iterate in real time. So if we see that we didn't get a really good response to that email follow-up and like the open rates are well below, are well below what we thought, we might change the cadence in the middle of that and send an SDR email before the phone call because we might think it might get more opens in the marketing email that was sent. So we're paying very close attention, but in collaboration with our sales and marketing org. Yeah.
I'm sorry if you said it and I missed it. Where does this table live?
Oh, this is like in a intranet or whatever tool that we have. We use Google Sheets a lot, so any place that everyone has access to.
So as the person that did something in Marketo or said something, it's my responsibility to go into this doc and update that manually?
No. So like, let's say, here we'll go this, like you have a launch meeting, right? So we're like, hey, SDRs, marketing, we are going live with this particular campaign on September 1st. Everyone is aware that this is happening. So it gets sent out September 1st. The SDR managers on September 3rd are like, hey, marketing is sending out another email. If you guys get a phone call, this is what's happening, right? That happens. By the time September 5th comes around, everyone knows that now SDRs are going to be on the phone calling down the list of people that have received this email. It's just the process that happens. No one has to update this. It's just keeping us honest about what we said we were going to do and then actually executing on that. Any other questions?
What are you using to measure opens clicks?
It depends on the technology. So if we are in Marketo, then we can do that in Marketo. And in SalesLoft, we can do that too. Yeah.
Are you doing anything else besides the initial email? Are there like air cover around ads or things, knowing that you're targeting that person?
So in a particular marketing program, there could be several different tactics that they have that's separate from the tactics that we're using in the SDR team. So this is likely a subset of what they're doing for their overall program. So yes, they're likely doing other things as well. Anything else here? Yeah. Hi.
Volume changed, or is it just the volume's the same, just the strategy?
Oh, the volume has changed dramatically. We found that we were, in some cases, sending the exact same email by 3 different people. So just by understanding who was sending what when helped us decrease the amount of emails we were sending. When we were going through this exercise, someone was like, I didn't know that marketing was sending welcome emails when someone downloaded a trial, because my team is doing that too. And just by like having conversations, like really just talking to people, we were able to uncover things. And I think that was probably the biggest takeaway. Like I can tell you guys all of these easy things to do, and this is the easy part, but managing the relationships that allow you to do this, having that ongoing conversation and communication, that's the hard part. It is making sure that all of your stakeholders are aware. It's making sure that you can come to an agreement between your SDR org and your marketing organization. It's making sure that you stick to the plan that you have. When you're dealing with humans, that is not always easy, but that's the part that is difficult. This is easy. It's dealing with the humans around it that makes it a little bit more difficult.
So does sales report up to you in marketing?
No. So the SDR org reports into sales, but I'm marketing operations. That just happens to dabble in SDR stuff. And the marketing is a part of the go-to-market team, but they are completely separate from sales. I've seen some orgs where the SDR team rolls up into marketing. That makes sense too. All right, so, was there a question? Yeah.
Yes, how do you count towards marketing versus sales for credit for revenue?
Oh, man. Okay. So this comes up in a lot of companies. So we really only track 3 types of like sourced pipeline. So we do marketing, partner, and sales. Anything that's attributed to a campaign, we count as marketing sourced, which is going to be like a large majority. The only time we count something as sales, including SDR, is if it's like somebody prospected into an account and that person is not associated with the marketing campaign. Yeah. But there's a lot of disagreement around that. So recap. 1, meet often. Marketing and sales or SDR teams, they should meet at least once a week. At previous companies, it was a twice a week thing. It's one team with one goal. Host messaging workshops. It won't be easy. There will be lots of opinions, but it will be worth it. Document your cadences. So even the first one that will likely suck really bad, because it always does, you will learn from it. So document them, keep everyone on the same page. It helps drive accountability. And then reuse the ones that work, because why recreate the wheel if you don't have to? And then make it a big deal. Send out emails about it every day of like how great we're doing. Have a kickoff meeting. Celebrate the wins. If this particular program, someone gets a huge meeting and that results in a ton of pipeline. I'm doing really good not cursing today. In a ton of pipeline, then everyone should know about it. We want to celebrate the successes because it will make people following these cadences. It will help make them want to do that even more. They know that good stuff is coming out of it. Is it really hot in here? Yes, okay, great. I was like, whew, it's warm. All right, that's all I had. I am more than happy to answer questions.
Can we give it up for Maya? That was pretty cool. I have a question.
Yeah.
I thought this was awesome, especially from a sales perspective, hearing it from someone who's seen it from every perspective. How can I get a hold of, what's the best way to get in contact with you to learn more about your brilliance?
Oh, that's so funny. I am definitely not brilliant, but I'm on LinkedIn, which is the best. I check it sometimes. I think it's my email on the website. Like I have cards if you guys really want to talk to me, but you know, LinkedIn's probably the easiest.
Cool, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.